Welcome to Gaming Grains, the whiskey gaming channel. I'm your player one, Richard. Stagg 26A just hit my market and it was everywhere. And with that being said, so were the prices. But I was able to find a bottle at a terrific price and picked it up. So without further ado, grab those controllers, pour yourself a dram, and let's get into it. Stagg 26A is here, and many whiskey enthusiasts are already saying that this bottle far surpasses any of last year's releases. Now, I didn't try anything from last year, so I can't speak to that, but I'm still going to give this bottle a try and let you know if it is worth the hype. Now, if you're not familiar with Stagg, formerly known as Stagg Jr., but not to be confused with George T. Stagg, it is an allocated item that falls under the umbrella of Buffalo Trace. Now, this bottle is released in different batches throughout the year, and you can tell which batch you have by simply looking at the 2-digit number and letter in the bottom right-hand corner. So in this case here, it has a 26A, letting us know that it was released in the year 2026, and the A simply tells us that it is the first release. Now, usually there are 3 to 4, so you'll see letters up to C or D. Now, with these being individual batches, the proof point is going to vary from bottle to bottle. And in this case, it is 129.3. Now, they do get a little bit higher. I've seen them up to I think 131, 132, and they can be a little bit lower as well, but more often than not, they are going to be at barrel proof. Now, I mentioned before that when this hit the market in my area, it was in a lot of different liquor stores, and it very quickly caught the attention of all of us whiskey enthusiasts. We were sharing on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, all over the place, and the prices were all over the place as well. I was very fortunate enough to get mine with a bundle. Thankfully, the other bottle was great. And so with that, I paid about $65.99 for this one. But if you wanted to get it individually, I saw them upwards of $90 to $100. So still not bad when we're talking about a Stagg bottle. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Now, I do have several bottles, as you can tell here. Each one of these is going to be a different batch. Now, I do know some people, they typically want to try to collect all of them. Not me. In fact, last year I had said to myself that they were just too expensive, didn't want to chase all of them, and happened to come across one at just the right price, at least for me. And so I did pick up the 25B, but haven't opened it yet. I was going to wait to do that later. I have a 23A, which was my very first Stagg. Bought that one when I really started to dive deeper into whiskey. Very proud of this one. And as you can see, it's halfway drank. And then I do have this 24C. This is my second bottle. I ended up picking this up after I finished my first one at another store, and I'm happy to have this as a backup. All right, I was going to dive right into it, but then I remembered from experience that it's best to let this one open up a little bit because it does tend to have a little bit of that ethanol, just that bit of proof on the nose. It can be a little bit overwhelming at first, especially if you just dive right in. So I let it rest for a couple minutes. We're coming back to it. So let's go ahead and get in on the nose. Oh man, it's been a minute since I've had Stagg. Actually, I say that, and it was my birthday, which was about a month or so ago. But to really just kind of dive into it. So the first thing that I'm gonna get, that I do get, is just this sweetness, almost like a dark cherry. A little bit of cola. There's a faintest spice note there. Maybe some underlying chocolate. just everything that I've come to know and love out of Stagg. Just I could sit here and nose this all day, but that's boring and we wouldn't want to watch that. So in on the palate, cheers. A lot of those notes that you get on the nose really just sing. Sweetness up front, those dark cherry notes, the faintest hint of that cola. Just, oh man. It reminds me of why I started seeking these out after having opened this guy. There is a little bit of like bite or sharpness on the front of my tongue. This is not my first pour of the day, so I'm not getting overly overwhelmed with the proofiness of this. This is right around where I like to stay. A little bit higher. I like 115, 125 mark. But just really, really good. Cheers. Going back in it again, the sweetness is almost amplified. That caramel note, that cola note really is coming towards the forefront, then followed by that cherry. I'm not getting a lot of the spice that I would associate with like that rye spice. But there's also, I'm associating, or the bitterness that I'm also getting on the front of my tongue reminds me of some oak influence that I've had, or maybe even like when I've tried a toasted pecan finished whiskey. I know that that's the influence from the staves. So just that wood influence is there. It is very subtle, but man, is this good. Now, as far as the finish goes, it's staying with me. Every time I'm going to speak or breathing outwards, I do feel like I'm breathing a little bit of heat. But this is fantastic. One more just because. Wow. All right. Well, like I mentioned before, friends that I've heard, other influencers and things like that, have said how great that this one is. And like I said, just in comparison to last year's batches, this one supersedes all of them. And I haven't dived into them yet, but this one I could tell you is probably up there with my favorites. It's been a minute since I've had this one. The 24C, this would probably be my favorite out of my collection. As you can tell, not very big. 23A is right up there, probably right next to it. Haven't opened this guy yet, but I mean, 26A is fantastic. And if you can find it, whether it's bundled, like I said, mine was $65 plus the other bottle, which was like 80. Still together would be what I've paid before for one of my bottles. Or, I mean, I think I said upwards of like 100 in my area. Still isn't too bad for one of these bottles, at least in my opinion. So if you can find 26A, definitely pick it up, especially if it is at a reasonable price point for you there. All right, guys. I certainly appreciate you sticking until the end. I know this is a little bit longer of a video. Let me know down in the comments below, out of all the Stagg that you've come across, what is your favorite batch that you've had? I'd love to see what you've tried. Maybe I can get out and find a pour or a sample of it somewhere. Maybe a rogue bottle that somebody has that they'd be willing to share. But yeah, down in the comments below, let me know your favorite Stagg batch. Be sure, as always, to like, subscribe, all those YouTube-y things. That just really helps the channel grow. All right, as always, thank you for sticking until the end. I'm your favorite player one, Richard. Have a good one.